Good evening, everyone. Kind of a weird night tonight, like the last couple of streams I've done. Don't really have a topic in mind, but want to make sure to give those of you that don't really have anything else going on this evening something to do. Already got one already here. JMO JMO, welcome to the show.
Yo.
And like I said, tonight, just a chill chit chat night. Probably go about hour and a half, 2 hours. Maybe cut it a little bit shorter if Jimmy decides to actually do a live stream like he said he was going to. But otherwise, yeah, just the only rule I have when it comes to topics people ask for is keep it YouTube friendly.
All right. I mean,
Because
is Johnny or anybody joining tonight, or?
I have no idea if anyone else is going to join in, and it could just be the two of us sitting here chit chatting. And if you decide to duck out, I've got my camera set up on my paint station, and it might turn into a chit chat and paint stream.
Oh, hey. I mean, oh man. So what all you got going on for these festivities?
Oh, I'll be completely honest. My family's already done pretty much all of the Christmas stuff that we are going to do this year. My parents divorced when I was fairly young,
Hmm.
and typically we celebrate with my mom around Thanksgiving time period
Hmm.
because that's when we're all there anyway and figure why not? Go ahead and knock everything out at the same time so it's less stress on everybody.
Right.
And did my dad's side of the family Christmas today, which ever since me and my sister have gotten out of high school and everything, it's more or less just show up for lunch, maybe exchange a few small gifts if we decide to get any or get everybody anything, and just sit down and jaw jack and get caught up on what everyone's up to.
Nice. Well,
Yeah, really kind of simple. I'm
mhm.
I, I always feel kind of bad when they talk to me about, well, when are you going to have kids so that way we can actually do Christmas the way it's supposed to be.
Right. Well, I mean,
They always hate it when I'm like, well, you find a girl who's willing to give me a chance, and I'll be more than happy to give her a chance.
right.
Like I've said before, the MGTOW in my screen name isn't necessarily because I fully embrace the ideology. It's more because of the fact that I've really been given no choice.
Right. Well, how
I
old
either
are you, Mando,
I
if you
am
don't mind me
42
asking?
years old.
Okay. I mean, do you have like nieces and nephews or anything? Or are you an only child?
I have one sister who probably isn't going to have children because she and
Okay.
her husband have focused so heavily on their schooling that,
Right.
well, she's 4 years younger than I am.
Okay.
She's getting to be at the point in her life where Hammerhand's infamous short is going to be getting to apply to her.
Yeah, the clock's coming down to the wire. I get it. Um,
And
you know,
in the
some
case, I do have two younger cousins. Both of them have finally got significant others, and I really have to bite back the RP knowledge I have when dealing with my family there
Mhm.
because I'm happy for them, but at the same time, I really want to warn the guy, hey, not anything against my cousins, but here's what you might be walking into.
Right. Well, I mean, everybody's gonna discover stuff when they get married all on their own.
Oh yeah,
So, you know,
and I don't want to be the one to sabotage my own family when it comes to their own stuff on that front. So
right.
it is what it is.
I mean, and some people, they just choose not to have kids, and having I had my kids when excuse me, had a weird fucking throat today. Must be all that dick. I'm just kidding. Don't listen to me.
Hmm.
But it's tough now. When you and I were growing up, I mean, you're only a few years older than I am. Even then, it was like $750,000 to raise a kid from birth till
Yeah,
high
give
school
or take.
graduation. Yeah, now it's like 1.4 million. So it just,
Inflation, yeah,
oh yeah,
no.
and it's just, you know, and it is a nervous time, crime rates go up and this, that, and the other. Sometimes people are just better off just not having kids. And it's not even to the point of, I understand everybody wants something of them when they're gone, you know, but,
Well, he,
I've had friends who, beautiful couples, they get along great, they don't fight, they also don't have kids, they enjoy their money,
well, and
it's more of a personal choice, I think.
oh yeah, no, I agree with you there. But here's where I've run into the biggest problems when it comes to this. When I was on active duty and at the age bracket where most men are getting out there and quote unquote spreading their wild oats or whatever euphemism you want
Right.
to use, I was that soldier who, when they said, be in the barracks, we are going to do a walkthrough.
Hmm.
Okay, when are you doing your walkthrough? Not telling you. We're going to be there. You be there.
Right. And there'll be
So,
assholes do it like 1 a.m.
or no, or they, in my case, they never did it at all.
Yeah.
So
Where
what
were
would
you
happen is,
stationed?
say again.
Where were you stationed?
Oh gosh, Landstuhl, Germany. Well, technically Miesau, Germany, but I lived in Landstuhl. Fort
Okay.
Hood, Fort Campbell, Fort Riley, Fort Irwin, and the remainder of my time was in the reserves.
Gotcha. All right.
And honestly, I loved my time in Germany. My time in Fort
Hmm.
Campbell, kind of a mixed bag. My time in Fort Hood, I absolutely hated. Fort Riley, I loved the post, but I didn't much like the unit I was assigned to. And Fort Irwin, the nicest thing I have to say about that place is it's on planet Earth.
Yeah. Fort Irwin, that's in California, I believe. No.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I was there, we kind of avoided Fort Irwin, being in the Marines, but there's nothing near Fort Irwin. And
Oh
that's the
God, I
part that's
know.
crappy.
Well, and,
Like we went there for maneuvers one time, and I think Fort Irwin has like a very small officers club.
when I was on Fort Irwin, what they had available for recreation facilities was kind of this all ranks club that was honestly 2 or 3 blocks from my barracks.
Hmm.
That literally the only good part about it was it had a pizzeria and it had like 4 video game machines available. I
Right.
got really good with BRM by playing Silent Scope.
So like when I was on 29 Palms, even if you leave the gate, I mean within 5 miles you have places to go and people to meet.
Oh
When we
God.
went to Irwin, it was fucking misery.
Oh, I know. There was a running joke when I was stationed there
If you want to
that they
stay single, go to
moved
Fort
the
Irwin.
well, when I was stationed on Fort Irwin, there was a running joke that they moved the gate 5 miles closer to Barstow because otherwise they would have had to pay people cola.
Right? So I mean, Barstow's not bad. The biggest issue with Barstow is it's it gets really gang activity like at night, and
Well, what I found with Barstow was the only thing that really was appealing there was the Walmart.
right.
I at the time during the time I was stationed there, and I left in 2017.
Hmm.
There were no clubs to speak of. There was really no outdoor activity to speak of, probably because they were out in the middle of the bloody desert.
Oh yeah, you gotta love the Mojave.
And I think about the only recreational activity they had in Barstow was one bar, maybe a movie theater.
Right.
To my knowledge, or to my recollection, they did not have a mall. They did not have hardly anything there.
Hmm.
And
Mm.
when you're a permanent party on Fort Irwin, you essentially have to get a pass to go off post.
Hmm. So where are you at now? If you don't mind me asking.
Fort Living Room. I am a reservist who's in the process of getting my retirement paperwork processed.
Nice. Okay. So you got your full 20 in,
Oh, I've
right?
got 22 years.
Well, there you go. Um, so I mean, is it just hard to meet people where you're at now, or?
Okay, well here's the thing, and this is what's absolutely bizarre. The city I live in currently is the third largest city in my state, Missouri.
So you're not in St. Louis. That means you're
No.
in. Oh God, what is the third largest? Hold on.
All I'm going to say is it's Southwest Missouri, and we're going to leave it at that.
Okay.
It is a college town
Hmm.
that, in theory, should mean that I have fairly wide age brackets and fairly large number of ladies available, correct?
Right.
Every time I go out anywhere with the intent to meet someone,
Hmm.
no one's there.
Well, I mean, Thursday night's usually the best night. That's when usually the bars are full with women and things
To,
like that.
to my knowledge, there's only two bars in this city. One's a
Hmm.
karaoke club and one's a country bar.
I try the country bar. Karaoke bars are shit. Unless
Well,
you just want to listen to drunk people sing, which can
well,
be hilarious.
and the problem is I actually do enjoy karaoke, but the problem is I've looked at the reviews for that place, and unless I'm willing to pay like $500 just off the top to the person running the music,
Hmm.
I would never even get up there because apparently they
Right.
have certain favorites that they like to call on.
Oh yeah, and every karaoke bar has that. It's
Yeah.
I mean, as cheesy as it is, you could try the internet way. Um, just things aren't the way they were. You
Oh,
know, when Facebook came around, that was an easier outlet for kind of everybody. But the
yeah.
biggest issue with Facebook is that a lot of it was scams.
Oh, a lot of
You
it
know,
still is scams.
oh yeah, and the whole the Christian Mingle thing, like, yeah, I get it. It's a good site if you want to meet, I guess, somewhat wholehearted Christians, but just keep in mind I was on that damn website.
Yeah, so was I for a while.
Yeah,
It,
so
if you name a dating website, I probably tried it sometime between 2009 and 2017.
right. Um,
I Match.com, I did their little, or no, eHarmony.com, I did their little questionnaire,
mhm.
and I'm one of the 20% of the population they can't help. Hey, Tommy, welcome to the party.
Yeah. Doesn't look like much of a party yet.
Well, it's
Fuck
not.
you, Tommy. It's always a party when I'm here.
Well, maybe we'll get lucky and someone else will join in to embarrass the living daylights out of everyone.
I
Right.
doubt it. It's all
But
good. I was late coming in myself, so anyway, go ahead, Gemmo.
no, so like when I was I was the opposite of what you were in the military. I
Mm-hmm.
was I was the whore. But I chose that because people play it straight and narrow, which is good on them. That's why they don't get kicked out and do dumb shit, right?
Yeah.
It's just it gets to a point with me. There was only so much military I was willing to take before I needed to cut loose. But when you, like I was saying though, when you get down to all these websites, for every 100 people you meet, and trust me, I dated some real questionable ones in California. So I dated a girl who was completely liberal, and I mean liberal to the bone, right?
Okay.
And
Stereotypical California land of fruits and nuts.
yes, nothing could ever happen to me because this world is perfect kind of person.
Oh yeah,
So,
I love them.
and we split up, and it actually wasn't even due to political indifferences. She wanted to move for her career, and when I was in the process of getting out, I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a my bad. But I think even with hardcore political indifferences, the
Hang on one second. Jackal, I suspect that's you in the backstage. please put on a normal screen name and normal avatar? Then I'll bring you on. It doesn't have to be your usual one, but
Has he got the
let's not.
F-stick kid on there again?
Well, not quite, but it was something that I'm not really comfortable dropping onto my channel.
Yeah, I get you. That's why I didn't say what you know. Yeah, Wackle
Yeah.
works.
Okay, that's good enough, Jackal. Welcome to the party.
Supposed to be a party?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't bring the lemonade?
No.
Hey, we got an outlaw in the house.
Oh, God.
Hey.
Oh wow, I
Since
didn't
he-
see Sunflower
Oh.
around today.
Since he's here, we're gonna have to do it. Sorry, Jackal. Or sorry, outlaw.
Uh-oh, looks like I blocked something here.
It's either that or I get the he's a big boy one from our buddy Rhino.
Oh man.
Speaking of that one, I had a discussion with the big guy at work on Friday,
Okay.
and that was just screaming through my head the whole time. He's sitting there talking to me about this problem and how to solve it.
Oh.
Damn, that's a big boy.
Now,
That's a
okay,
big
let me just ask you this, Tommy. When you say big boy at work, are we
He's-
talking about bending light big? Or are we
Yes.
talking about changing the flow of space and time big?
Gravitational ripples will occur.
Ooh, so in
Th-
other words, it'll look like a black hole.
Okay, no, he's not quite there, but he's getting there. The man
Oh,
is
so you don't-
about 6'6", and I'd say at least 350.
But you don't have gravitational lensing around him yet?
Not yet. When their offices were in the mezzanine level, they put in some sort of weird flooring system, but when he was walking around up there, the floor bounced. And there was people that said, "Oh my God, is this thing safe?" It was big steel girder supports under it, but yeah, the floor flexed enough with his weight when he walked around.
Oh damn.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, he would definitely have earned that entry.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see why that was playing in your head when you were talking to him.
Oh yeah, every time I see him after I saw that, that's the first thing that hits my mind is Stephen Glenn.
Let's
a
not use
big
real names
boy.
on here. Let's
Oh,
not
that's
use real
a
names on
common
here.
name.
I'm a small enough channel. I don't think anyone's going to find out, but I don't want to risk anyone getting doxxed or anything else negative happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all good.
That's a
Anyway,
big
He's the
boy.
big boy. We'll just call him that.
Yeah.
So I've asked everyone else. Outlaw, you been up to
Mhm.
anything fun or interesting today, or has it just been kind of the same old, same old?
Yeah, kind of the same old, same old. I had to go back to Walmart and get harassed by some more Salvation Army bell ringing weirdos. And
They actually talk to you?
oh yeah, Merry
Wow.
Christmas. Merry
Down in the south, they actually will. They'll in addition to ringing the bells, they'll actually verbally accost you.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've had one really say anything other than happy holidays or Merry Christmas to me in I don't know how many years.
I know when I was stationed in Fort Campbell, when I would have to go off post to do anything during the holiday season, I always made it a point to do so in uniform,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
because when they would start, or when the bell ringers would come up to me and start their stuff, I'd be like, dude, do you really think I have the funding? Because I was a Spec 4 at that point in time.
Yeah, you ain't
Yeah.
making much.
And they were like, yeah, you're probably not making enough to really be able to do much, are you? I'm like, no, I'm not. And take a look at the car I drove in on.
Mm.
At that point, I was driving a 2001 Pontiac Sunfire.
Mhm.
So,
God, I hated those cars.
oh, don't get me wrong, I loved my Sunfire. That was the first car I ever bought. And
Yeah.
was it a great car? Not by any stretch of the imagination. Did it usually get me where I needed to go? Yeah. It got me from Fort Hood to Fort Campbell, and from Fort
Mhm.
Campbell to Fort Riley.
Yeah.
And it got me several times from various forts to home so I could visit relatives.
hmm
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, was it a great little car? No, it wasn't. Was it good for a starter vehicle? Yeah, it was.
Gets you by. I get you. I understand.
Yeah,
Wasn't
and
that?
the other thing is, the only reason I ended up getting rid of that thing when I got promoted is
Mhm.
because something happened to the computer system that flashed part of the drive, and it was going to cost somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 just to get it back to full operational capacity.
You
And
could
when I
buy
took it into a dealership to give it a once over to see if it was actually worthwhile, it essentially had the vehicular equivalent of a myocardial infarction ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh damn.
So yeah, that car was literally about to die when I traded it in on my current vehicle.
And they just turned around and scrapped it, I'll bet.
Probably, which was probably for the best with that particular little car.
Mhm.
The first owner tried turning it into a sleeper racing vehicle.
Oh yeah, that's probably why it was so messed up.
Yeah.
And a week after I drove it off the lot, the engine
Mhm.
went out.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that the engine was blown, and the dealership didn't catch it because that car just came onto the lot that day.
Oh yeah.
Probably a blown head gasket or a cracked block or something.
Yes, probably, but they replaced it, and I had that car for about 7 years afterwards.
Mm.
But then again, I also did what I could to take as good a care as possible of that piece of garbage.
Well, yeah, you got to maintain them if you're going to rely on it.
I mean, that little piece of scrap metal, and I say that with all due respect to the car, that thing went through 3 flavors of hell. And because of the type of tires that the first owner put into it and the rims, I was
Mhm.
constantly having to replace tires, and they were low profile racers.
Oh God, get rid of those. Go back to the stocks.
Well, I wasn't able to get the stock tires or stock rims because apparently they weren't selling them anymore.
Well, you don't need
Yeah.
to necessarily go to a stock rim from the from Chevy or Pontiac. You can always go to the an aftermarket that's the same size.
Well, I didn't know that at the time. Remember, I'm not a
Mhm.
car guy.
Mm,
I know enough about cars to know how to operate them and how not to kill myself when I'm having to do maintenance on them.
yeah, I worked in
Yeah.
a tire shop, so I know all the little tricks and ins and outs and shit.
And the thing that really hacked me off the first time I had to take it in for tire replacement or repair, the
Mhm.
the technician comes up to me and was like, do you have the lock for the lugs?" I'm like, "Wait, what?" "They're lug nuts." I
There
didn't
was
know this, but they put locking lugs on that thing.
They put one locking lug on each wheel. Yeah,
No, it was 4
they
or
had.
5. They replaced all of the lug nuts with those stupid locking lugs.
What the hell is wrong with this person?
Probably didn't want his wheels stolen, I would imagine.
I think that's part of it. I also think it's the fact that they had these weird little scallop shaped lock mechanisms. I
Mhm.
suspect he just, or whoever the previous owner was, I say he because honestly, I don't think a chick would have done this. I think this guy was trying to turn this car into something from Fast and Furious
Mm-hmm.
and wanted
Probably.
it to look the part. And if you have one locking lug and the remainder regular lugs, it kind of throws off the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Nothing matches. God, I bet he spent a
Yeah.
lot of money on that stupid shit.
Oh, he probably did, but he also did it in the stupidest way possible. He
Mm-hmm.
put an aftermarket trim kit on this vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
with wood screws.
Oh, that's
What
pretty
the
typical.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
Drywall
I've seen those
screws?
guys do that.
Yeah, there was a ginormous racing fin on the back of that vehicle,
Oh,
Full ricer with it.
no.
And
Jesus.
I remember looking through the rearview mirror on that thing and was like, "Ooh, I can barely see around that thing." But the price was decent. When I did the test drive, she drove well,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
the people that I ended up getting it from, I didn't know this, were running kind of a number on me, because what they
Mhm.
did was they had this soldier who was kind of working for them under the table,
Mhm.
who saw me waiting for a cab. I was like, "Hey, I can get you to a good dealership if you want to go ahead and or come with me. I'll take you over there, and we can possibly get you into some wheels today."
Mm-hmm.
Golly.
Yeah, my squad leader at the time. I've told you about this particular sergeant, the little lesbian fire plug.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I come in on Monday, tell her this, and she's like, "I should slap you so hard that your mother will ask what happened." Then she explained to me the whole regulation that the military has on such purchases, and I was like, "Well, shit. I'm stuck, aren't I?" She was like, "Yeah, you are." God, I miss that particular NCO.
It was funny. Just after I got out of the Navy, the Ford dealership there in Oak Harbor, was forced out of business because they had been screwing Navy sailors over with deals.
So they got blacklisted.
No, they got closed down by the federal government.
Ooh,
No.
nice.
That
That's
they
even
were
worse.
they were that bad. I think what they were doing. They was running one of those deals where they give you, okay, you do this small down payment, and then your interest rate's going to be nearly 30%.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's what the dealership did to me when it comes to the
Yeah,
car that I was in.
that's a usury interest rate, and it's highly illegal.
Well, like I said, when I found out that the engine was bad, they
Mhm.
replaced it. They griped about replacing it because
Oh, of course.
that wasn't in the deal.
You'd had it
What the
less than
fuck
how
ever.
long?
Well, I had it for about a week.
You're kind of within that 30-day, even when an as-is state. You know,
Yeah, and
the law says 3 days, but there's a goodwill thing there, and if you
well, and the thing
word
is,
everything right, you can get them to do it.
and the thing is, the state of Texas also has a lemon law
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
where if you make a purchase or at least at the time I was there, if you made a purchase on a vehicle and that kind of crap happened, I want to say it was within the first 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
the
That's what I was
dealership
talking
had
about.
to repair or replace.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't believe Texas is a full as-is state. You know, purchase as is.
Yeah,
They
there is some
probably have a limit.
liability on the part of the dealership, at least for
Yep.
the first month.
Yep.
Mm.
But that was a fun little experience.
Well, and
And
just
we
so you
got
guys
Gendai
know,
jumping in.
and hey, it's Gendai.
Yo,
Hey,
what
well-
up, brother?
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Well, maybe where he is, it is morning.
So
Fine.
I was gonna say, just so you guys all know, federal lemon law is 5 takebacks on a brand new purchase, brand new car, not a used.
Really?
If you take it back 5 times for problems, you can
Mhm.
declare it a lemon, and they have to replace it or give you back your money.
Huh.
That's federal law.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
my
see-
brother's got a. Yeah, go ahead.
The amount of stuff I learned after I bought that car, I made sure to utilize it when I bought my car that I'm currently driving.
Mm-hmm.
And that car has served me very well the last almost 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought my Ford Focus brand new, 50 miles on the odometer.
Nice. That's what I got.
A
It's white.
Focus.
Yep, 2010.
So you got it before they did their little shenanigans with the clutch and the transmission.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not a bad little car at all.
Oh no, they're good little cars for what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the same with any vehicle, honestly.
Oh yeah.
But
And-
Tommy will like this, man. My brother's got a 2005 F350 with the 6.0 diesel in it, dually.
And it's a dually. What's he
And
doing?
it's-
Hauling horse trailers?
No, he pulls a fifth wheel RV camper
Okay.
and a utility work trailer for.
He's
hauling
got a good
goods
reason
on.
for the dually then. Okay. I'm cool
Right.
with that.
But he has had problems out of that truck ever since he's had it.
What year
And
is it?
2005.
So it's got that later Power Stroke in it.
Yeah, it's got.
And those things were junk.
He's got, I think, the first or the second year 6.0 in it.
Yeah, the 7.3s had pretty good lifespan in the early late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then they changed it up and they went, yeah, that 6.0 I've heard nothing but bad about. And the newest ones are even worse.
Yeah. And, he's had all kinds of injector issues out of it. It's left him stranded on the road several times.
Mm.
Wouldn't start, wouldn't crank. The dealer has had that truck in and out probably nearly half of all last year. Talk about a lemon. That truck really is a lemon.
Was he still paying on it?
No, he bought it cash. It wasn't as much. So
yeah,
just
but
paid
he's
cash
still,
on it.
2005. Now it's
Or no,
way
he
too
might have
late.
traded it in. He might have traded something in and got that. Yeah, he did. He had a 2009 Cummins, Dodge Cummins,
Mm-hmm.
that he traded in for it. I think they just swapped even.
Well, you know what?
Probably.
Let's ask the question of the rest of the panel. What is the best vehicle that you've had the pleasure of either owning or driving? And what is the worst vehicle you've had the pleasure of owning or driving? Granted, this is all going to be subjective because it's all your opinions. I've already said both of the vehicles I've owned and driven, so I'm not going to speak any more on that. JMO, you're muted, so you're probably in the middle of something. Tommy, what's
what's up?
Nope, there he is.
Well, since we've been talking about vehicles that we've had, what is the best and the worst vehicles that you have owned and or driven?
Best one was probably my 2003 Evo 8. I
Okay.
wasted a lot of money on that car. I had a car that was twin turboed, it was nitrous injected, and it ran on liquid methane.
Oh, Jesus.
So, but the good news is I could run a quarter mile in 8.7 on the California salt flats.
Nice.
That's just a race car. That's not a daily driver, man.
Oh, it was my daily driver.
Oh, jeez. And you're just crazy.
I made it specifically because when I came home on leave, there used to be this little douchey ass car club here in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And they were basically a bunch of spoiled kids whose parents had dumped money into whatever car they wanted to get at the dealership. And when the Corvette ZR1 came out, I got tired of it. So I was like, I wonder if I can just build a car that'll smoke it from start to finish. And I did. And then I totaled it off a highway runway bridge.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
I
had
took
to
it.
have hurt.
Oh yeah, well, when it was funny though, it was an all-wheel drive car. I hit the only 15-foot space that was nothing but solid black ice. I rolled off the side, left it totaled, walked away from the accident, and I actually wasn't caught and tested until I had already returned to California. But I literally hitchhiked it to DIA.
Shit.
And the worst car I ever drove was a oh, you're gonna love this. So I bought it for $75. It lasted me approximately 68 minutes. And it was a
Holy
80
cow!
it was a 84 Russian Yugo.
Oh,
Oh,
So I bought the car and it was a very simple 10-mile drive. It was from Colorado Springs to Fountain and it blew up.
now when you say blew up, do you mean literally exploded or?
So when the rod blew, because if you guys remember the Yugos, the engine sat sideways.
yeah, and it was
'Cause
a
it was-
4-cylinder, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So it threw a rod through the cab of the car.
Whoa.
Oh shit.
I will give
Oh,
it this though. Best AM FM reception I've ever seen. Them Russians really hit them satellites good. I
Okay,
mean,
guys,
sure, you can't understand the language, but spot fucking on.
I'm gonna. JMO, you just reminded me of an old bad joke that I know is not YouTube safe. I'm gonna put it in the private chat. Let me know
Alright.
if you guys agree. Well, since you've told your good and bad, Tommy, your turn.
I'll give you two worst cars I ever owned and drove. First one was a 79 Chevy Monza,
Wow.
I remember that.
Wow.
and I'd bought it from my aunt, and the damn motor seized on it.
Mm-hmm.
It had an idiot light for a cooling sensor, and I think it overheated and was locked up solid. That was in high school. So then after that, I picked up a Ford pickup, which I still own, an F-100, 1968.
Oh,
I need to get that thing up and running and get rid of it.
dent
I'm never
side.
I'll never do anything with it.
Okay, guys. Joke is dropped in the private chat. I
Yep,
know it would get.
Hey, Tommy, if the price is right, I'll buy it off of you. Is it a short box?
No, it's a long bed, but it's a Ranger package,
Oh, okay.
and I
I
still
know
have
that
all
joke
the
will
trim
get me
for
nuked
it.
if I actually say it openly. So
Yeah,
Read
it
it.
might.
They got a 390 in it. Big
Yep.
block. Oh,
It,
yeah.
it came originally with a 390 is not a big block. That's an FE. It's intermediate.
FE.
Yeah. It originally was a 360. The guy I bought it from had punched it out and put heads on it, so it's a 390.
Okay.
And it runs. It's got a C6 in it.
Mm.
The column shifter's shot, so I put in an aftermarket, and the cable will need to be replaced.
Yeah.
The seat is literally gone.
The seat.
Yeah, it is just the frame and the springs. It just
so you're
completely
basically
disintegrated.
so you're basically driving the equivalent of a military vehicle.
Well, it sat from 05. And the last time I was home was this last summer, and I looked in it. And the seat's just gone.
That's a dent side. A bump side Ford. Them are worth money.
Well, this one's kind of special too. I mean, it's got some it's beat up a bit. It's not bad, but surface rust. The front end's got tore up a little bit, and I've got a fender on the bed on the driver's side that's got a curl from losing a tire. Other than that, it's sound. Dash has been cut though before I got it. Put in an aftermarket radio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a project car. I'm thinking it's probably as it sits worth about $1,000.
I
That's
can
not
buy
bad at
that.
all.
No.
That's not bad at all.
And like I said, it's a project car, and I still have most of the trim in a box in my dad's shed. It's sitting in Idaho at my dad's place. Probably about 2 days. Well, it might even not be that, because you slap a new carburetor on it and pump out the dead gas if there is any left in it. Hopefully my brother siphoned it all out. It has 2 tanks. The one behind the seat needs a new filler neck hose between the tank and the filler neck, because it's just cracked and gone, and you just smell gas like you wouldn't believe when you're driving it. At least it didn't 05. Now he may not be able to fill it, just fill the cab with gasoline. But anyway,
No.
the saddle tank under the bed's got a big hole in the top of it. It'll have to be
Mhm.
dropped and replaced or something. Like
So
I said, it's a project truck.
That poor vehicle's seen some better days.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's
and then when I bought it, the guy that I bought it from had been out logging with it, getting firewood.
Yeah.
He caught a stump
Mm.
and slammed his chest into the steering wheel, broke the original steering wheel. So it's got a handcuff steering wheel in it, but it does have power steering. So the handcuff steering wheel wasn't that big a deal.
So if he caught a stump, how fast was the stump traveling?
Well, I think he was trying to jerk a tree out from something, and when he hit it,
That was an
Yeah.
attempt at bad humor.
well, the reason I followed along with that is because it swung the rear axle and the truck doglegs down the road. Anyway, it's a
Nope.
project truck.
Oh yeah. My brother had a 69. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, and mine's got the Ranger emblem in it too, and it shouldn't because it's an F100. That was only in the camper specials, the F250s.
And my uncle had the 70 or 71.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of the guys in my family are Ford guys.
Well, anything pre 73, I'd buy it.
Oh God, yeah.
But anyway, I'll go to the best now. That wasn't the best because that truck, I drove through hell with that thing. Anyway, the best ones I've ever owned were Toyotas. I've had a Camry. It had over 300,000 on it when I bought it. Put 355 on it by the time I got rid of it, and it didn't die. I needed a new car because it was leaking oil like a bitch. I had a Celica 70. Was it 77? I think it was a 77. Might have been a 76 fastback. That one had 325,000 on it before I crushed up the front end of it.
Ooh.
And then the motor went into a buddy's truck and he drove it until he blew it up because he wouldn't keep oil in it or replace the front oil pump seal. That motor was a tough motor. And then right now I've got a 2013 Corolla. Bought it with 30,000 on it, and I'm only at 68 now.
Mm-hmm.
The 2013 guys with 68,000 miles on it.
Well,
Not too bad.
Slick South down in the chat has dropped his best vehicle in there.
Yeah, Ram 25. It's a good truck.
Well,
See,
getting a manual transmission, and it's hard to come by. Those things aren't not very common.
See, like I've said before, I'm not a car guy. I just know what I like and I know what I think works.
Mhm.
So
Because they started phasing out manual transmissions, I think, early 2010s, somewhere thereabout.
Well, they've
My-
been pushing the automatics forever. They were hard to come by in the 90s when they switched over to the new body style. You couldn't hardly
Hey.
get a manual tranny.
Outlaw, you might want to tell that to the engineers at Ford who decided to put manual transmissions in automatic transmission vehicles.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, yeah.
Tommy, you laughed. That's what they did with the model of Ford Focus that I drive.
No, I know what you're talking about, dude.
And those guys are freaking morons.
Mm-hmm. Last year manuals. Are they putting Allisons in them though, Slick?
Allisons are in the Chevrolets.
Oh, is that who's got them? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've given your best and your worst, right, Tommy?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Gandai's
Okay.
turn.
Gendai, you're the next one up on the Nightmare Roadshow for vehicles. What's the best vehicle you've owned and operated, and the worst one you've owned and operated?
Well, unfortunately, my daughter's crying in the background.
Okay, we can come back to you at a later time. Outlaw, same question to you.
The worst car, well, Tommy will like this, and it really, I don't know how to explain it. It was gifted to me as something that a guy wanted out of his yard. It was a 19, yeah. It was a 1958 Fleetside F100,
Ooh.
the 58 model, which means the first or second year after the iconic, wraparound windshield one that everybody likes. Anyway, this was I think it was a half ton or 1 ton truck. It didn't run. It didn't drive.
C10 or
No, it was a Ford
oh, it was a
F100.
Ford. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
58 model. It was like a
Okay.
very odd year for them trucks.
Yep.
You don't see very many of them, or the 59s or the 60s.
Mhm.
So anyway, it didn't run. It didn't drive. It was just a pile of shit sitting in my yard. So that was probably the worst vehicle I've ever had. This vehicle, the next one, really wasn't a piece of shit, but it had a lot of the typical Chevrolet things wrong with it. It was a 1981 Chevrolet bread truck,
Oh shit, a
P30.
panel van.
P30 step van, and
Mhm.
that van had no radio. It had no horn. The speedometer, everything on the instrument cluster was broke. It didn't even register how fast you were going down the road. When Pops got rid of it, there were no shocks under the back dually axle because they had fallen out at some point during the truck's lifespan.
Probably
So that
rusted
thing
off.
rattled like a fucking I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It rattled like a dead gum tin can. But anyway, that was another vehicle that was pretty bad, but it was good in its own way, right? 350, 400 transmission.
Mhm.
Okay, Outlaw, I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you this question, and
Yeah.
JMO, and Tommy, I know will get the reference. Gendai might get the reference, and Jackal probably will get the reference.
Yeah.
Was it kind of like any military aircraft? As long as it's leaking fluid, you know you're good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, when it
That-
stops leaking, you need to add oil.
Yeah, because that I was about to say that was always the joke about every military aircraft I was ever on. Is that supposed
was
to be leaking that red stuff? Yes, as long as it's still leaking, it's good. Let us know if it stops.
Mhm.
It was a rattle trap, but it was a good old van. Anyway, that was probably the worst. The best car I've ever owned was probably my 95 Cavalier. Little
I've heard
1.8 4-cylinder.
I've heard good things about that model.
First year for the round jelly bean, rounder body style in them cars. Sedan, little compact sedan. It was a grandma grocery getter car. But it got nearly 30 miles to the gallon, 28, 30 miles to the gallon.
City
Damn
or
it.
highway?
I think it was 20. I'm trying to remember best I can, like 28 highway and like maybe, I don't know, 21 city, something like that.
That's
I don't
good.
offhand remember. But damn good little car. I drove that car forever. Just a little 4-banger.
Well, and that's the small one. If it was, you say the 1.9?
Yeah, a little 1.8.
Yeah, those little tiny ones.
It
Hey.
wasn't quick. It
No.
wasn't quick, but it was a reliable little car.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, some of the best vehicles out there aren't the flashy ones. They're not the fast ones. They're just a little thing that most people want to look at twice, but they get you where you need to go without any problem.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yep.
little car that could.
Hey, Jackal, I was
Well-
actually about to call on you. If Outlaw, are you done?
Well, yeah, I'll say this and then I'll be done. Well, I mean, when you don't have to spend but maybe $5 in gas for a week, hey, go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, I fill my tank every 2 weeks.
Okay, Jackal. You're the best car you've ever owned or operated, and the worst car you've ever owned or operated.
Only operated at one, and that was a 2016 Honda Accord. That's
Hmm.
all I got.
Hey, those aren't bad little cars from what I've heard.
No, they're not.
Nope, Honda's good.
And most of what I've had to drive in or Hondas. Between the Honda Civic, the two-door one, and the not the modern ones that they have now, not the latest series. I've never been in one of those. Honda Pilot, the boxy
Mm-hmm.
design, because that one is an excellent cargo hauler because of the body shape. It was basically a box truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for cargo hauling, so you don't
Well-
have to rent a U-Haul. And then there was the CRV, which, I'd rather would have just stuck with the Pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And then the
Well,
what is it? The,
refresh my memory, gentlemen. With the Hondas,
Mm-hmm.
aren't those things just generally so easily modified? That's why so many of them are used for street races.
Yes.
Well, at one point in the U.S., there used to be a lot of junkyards that carried older Hondas, Toyotas. There used to be a plethora of parts available everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big market at one time, so you could easily fix on them. Go to the junkyards, get what you needed. Over the years, with movies like Fast and the Furious, and the demand for those parts went up, and obviously they ain't making them no more, so they were scarce. But yeah, they were so easily to fix on and replace and all that. But
And they were
I
cheap too.
I hated working on Hondas personally, but yeah, they weren't hard. It's just you had to rip everything apart to get to anything. That was my always bitch.
well, I
with it.
mean, Hondas are so tiny anyway. I mean, they're just little
Mhm.
bitty.
Well, they're little Japanese city cars.
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
hell,
that-
I've flown-
Let
that's
Jackal finish his thoughts.
Yeah,
there.
my apologies there, Jackal.
Fine. Like I said, I've only driven in one, but I could tell you from experience of just being a passenger in the next few that they were definitely worth their weight in salt. The BMW 328i, my dad had one of those for a little bit. That thing turned so smooth.
Mhm.
I tell you what, that thing trying to make a sharp turn onto like an on-ramp to get on the highway, smooth as fuck. There was no jankiness of sending your shoulder into the door because the turn was so sharp, but it could turn real smooth. Or it was I'm trying to think, it was probably an early 2000s model Acura TL.
yeah.
That thing was
Yeah.
awesome. My dad literally had to keep driving that thing until I think he basically just drove that thing until the radiator just basically blew up and failed, so he had to get rid of it. But that thing, Japanese cars or German cars, they know how to make them work.
The problem is maintaining them.
Oh yeah, the problem
Yeah,
is
they're
with that
expensive.
328i is that there's so many special bells and whistles on the damn thing that if one thing goes out, you're constantly gonna have these notification icons all over the damn dash saying, "Oh, this is broken. Oh, this is broken."
Yeah.
Even though it's not
Well,
rudimentary for operation,
Mhm.
it's still gonna tell you it's fucked.
another really good thing about those imports is they're very easy to make power off of. Like Toyota, they overbuilt the shit out of those 2JZs. Like all the internals, everything on a stock 2JZ block is very, very strong.
Oh yeah.
So you can add literally like 800 to 900 horsepower easy on that stock motor before you start breaking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Same with
I'm gonna
Hondas.
ask. I'm gonna ask
Rotary
this.
engines were even better.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask this question because I've heard people say it before in various contexts. Which ones are actually over-engineered then? European vehicles or Japanese vehicles?
Japanese vehicles, hands down.
Yeah.
Well, and the
I'd say.
over engineering in that context is for stability and longevity.
Well,
The engineering on the German vehicles and European vehicles, they're usually trying to fit too much fancy shit in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know BMW likes to make their things essentially the Titanic of the road.
Now,
Mhm.
it's what it amounts to when you have to start fixing them.
Well, what
I
I'm getting
have-
at when I say the Titanic of the road, when that ship actually launched, she was the fanciest vessel on the
Uh-huh.
water,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
now she's the fanciest vessel under the water.
Mm-hmm.
Japanese
Well-
built some good stuff. I mean, I've seen people literally try to destroy those little JDM Nissan pickup truck. They hold the gas. I've seen guys throw rocks on the motor. It's stupid as it sounds. You know, holding the gas wide open, trying to redline it and
Mhm.
blow it up, and throwing rocks at it, throwing sand, everything at it. And those little trucks, they're made damn near indestructible. They're good stuff.
There's a good reason you see all those Hilux Toyota pickups with machine guns mounted in the back of them in Asia and the Arabian states and Africa.
So they're basically made out of Nokia phones.
They're tough as fuck. And it's easy to fix them.
Oh yeah,
Well, I'm not-
cheap too.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how Japan does their, or if they even have planned obsolescence, but they
Well, the way
build
they-
things.
Here you go. This is what happens. I'll tell you what happens. There, when I was there, I saw vehicles that were probably at least 50 years old,
Mhm.
but they are required by their emissions regulations to replace the motor every 30,000 miles.
Mm.
Wow.
They literally have to replace the motor. They can't rebuild it. They have to replace it. The motor doesn't have to be new. It can be a rebuilt motor, but they have to replace it, and it has to be certified.
So
Yeah.
I assume they essentially make them in such a way then where you can basically just drive it in, go into the mechanic, say I need to have this done, and they basically just have a device where they just pop it out and pop a new one in.
Well, yeah, they've got the kit motors available. They just slap a new one in it, and you're on the road within a day or two.
And I'm sorry about oversimplifying that. I know.
No, it's exactly that simple.
So the reason why Honda will probably always hold the majority of all car manufacturing is just for the simple fact of longevity in their vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've personally tried running a Honda Civic into the fucking dirt, and it just laughed at my attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that they'll last forever. I've also
Oh, they
heard that
will.
I've also heard that if anything goes wrong with them, you're looking at almost the cost of a completely new car.
Right, but they're also that cheap. The whole fucking car is that cheap.
Yeah, like if
Yeah.
it's like when I had my CRV, I
Mhm.
could do a full tune-up and replace all the gaskets for under $500.
Mhm.
Like Hondas just overall are cheaper. Like Fords used to be one of the cheapest vehicles you could ever repair. Now they're one of the most expensive.
Mhm.
Yeah, no
Yep.
kidding.
So like
Man,
when I had my Evo, the stupid mistake I made was I upgraded everything to stage 3 and 4 so badly. One, I only maintained it to be street legal because I had a quote unquote speed limit on it. It
Mhm.
didn't. I
Mhm.
personally watched my ass hit 228 in it.
Oh.
So the only problem is and what people don't understand, when you can buy a Honda all day long. Like, all right, Amanda, let's say you go out and you buy the brand new Honda Civic, right?
Mhm.
You can dump another 15 grand into it and make it just the best thing in your town. The issue is once you need parts for it, because once you stage it up so much, it'll only take certain things to keep that engine at its peak performance. So when I had my upgraded Evo engine that was twin turbo, there were only certain spark plugs I could run in it. There was only a
Mhm.
certain oil I could run in it. And
Okay,
Hams
so
oil is not fucking cheap.
No.
Yeah.
okay, so since I'm a sci-fi nerd, I'm gonna make a
Okay.
comment here that is definitely nerdy, definitely sci-fi, and if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll definitely get it. You can basically make these things into the vehicular equivalent of the Millennium Falcon with all the
Yeah.
nasty little quirks.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get
So-
all the problems too.
Yeah, so
Right.
I bought my Evo for 21,000, right? And this is
Mhm.
another mistake that people make. So I probably dumped another 22,000 into it, and that was just all upgrades, new clutches, everything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
we're
you
getting
think
we're getting some good engagement in the chat tonight too. By the way, guys.
so you would think that all right, I added 22,000, now my car's worth 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the issue you come into. If I go to buy your car, I don't care what the fuck you put in it. That was your
Mhm.
money, that was your decision. I'll buy it at the base value that it says it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're never going to get back
You're
out.
never get back mechanic
Yeah.
work.
Nope.
Yeah.
Now I could throw a new engine in it and be like, hey, well, can you slap on an additional 4,000 just because this thing only has 100 miles on it? That's perfectly acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
But
JMO,
yo,
let's give Gendai a chance to tell his
oh,
best
that's
and
worse.
worst
Shit,
vehicles.
sorry. I thought he was still dealing with the baby. My bad, Gando.
I had when I went to college, I had an 86 Mercury Sable.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
If you know, that
Yep.
was the year they got rid of lead in paint. So my paint
Mhm.
cancer had paint cancer. It had a habit of blowing out the AC whenever it felt
Mhm.
like it.
Mhm.
The alternator would melt the wires in the middle of going down Interstate 80 at
Mhm.
random, and so I would drive on battery power for up to 2 hours.
Oh my God.
And yeah, that thing was a pile. It was an absolute pile of crap. My best was a 92 Ford Crown Vic, and it only had 36,000 miles. Some little old grandma let it sit in her truck in her garage for 10 years.
Mhm.
And some little soccer mom decided to run up over my front bumper because she didn't want to stop. And I was turning.
Mhm.
I missed that car. I love the air ride. It was so amazing.
The final year for that square body style. Yep. And then 93 was the rounder Crown Vic.
Yeah. Well, the Crown Vics up until they discontinued them were still damn good vehicles
Oh
too.
God, yeah. Frame on body,
Mm-hmm.
Panther
Okay,
platform.
here's one that you guys might argue again or for and against. My mom's favorite car that she
Mhm.
ever drove,
Mhm.
at least that she tells me about, is one that I actually remember her having for a few years. I want to say it was a 79 Chevy Nova.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Now, the and I could be wrong on the year. This particular car was the last time that model year or that car was ever made.
I think you're right. I think 79 was the last year of the Nova until 86 when they partnered with Honda and they made that monstrosity.
Well, the Nova's coming back
They
now, guys.
Is it?
So,
Okay. Not a
they
surprise
dis-
though.
they discontinued the nameplate in the late 70s and they started turning them into Malibus around 80, 81, somewhere thereabout.
Yeah, that sounds about
Well,
right.
More
and the thing
squarish
is,
body.
that particular car was an all steel body, all
Mhm.
steel
Yeah.
chassis, and was built like a blasted tank.
Mm-hmm. The neat thing
Yep.
about the Nova was it had a subframe under the front end, and you could do all kinds of crazy stuff with it.
Yeah.
The thing is, my mom was working nights at the time. And she's told me and my sister this story. I think it's absolutely hilarious. At the time, she was utterly mortified. But something happened. She was coming home from work, and she accidentally backed over a stop sign or some other sign in a parking lot. Didn't do a bloody thing to the car,
Oh no!
but the sign was at a 90-degree angle from where it was supposed to be.
Oh well, that sign failed. It wasn't obviously a city installed because they'll shear off at the base.
But I'm sure most of us in the Gilded have seen that meme of the little girl her car is up on the bollard or some other piece of equipment, and she's still sitting there texting away.
Oh yeah.
I'm willing to bet if that had been my mom with with that Nova, that car would still be flat on the ground and everything else would be utterly decimated.
Right. Yeah, they were pretty tough. I did have a
Fuck.
buddy in high school that had one, and his was one of the SS's. His
Mhm.
dad had got it for him in high school. I think he paid for it, but his dad had got it for him. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, that car got totaled. He got assholed on the freeway by a drunk.
Damn.
I'm
Didn't
sorry
hurt
to hear
him
that.
real well. It didn't hurt him real bad, but the car was gone. I mean, it just totally tore off the rear end of it, pretty much.
Well,
Shit.
and the sad thing is, my mom eventually had to sell it because it was having too many mechanical problems for her to keep up
Mhm.
with.
Yeah.
She knew the guy she sold it to, and he offered to sell it back to her a couple of years later.
Mhm.
Both of the rear quarter panels were rusted out.
That was very
Mhm.
common with those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very common.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my cousin, since you brought up older cars, and one that I always dreamed of owning, I'll never find it again for under 70 grand. My uncle had sold it when I was put in foster care, and he took my custody. This is the first relative I lived with who stole my Social Security money. That's a whole nother day. So he bought his son, and I'd never heard of this car, and apparently it's one of the rarest, if not the rarest versions of this car. But he had a 68 SS RS Camaro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And
It
they
was
are
the
rare.
the Crosstrack edition.
Mhm.
I wanted that thing so damn badly. And all he told me I had to do, right, was play basketball, because that was our family tradition, and everybody else at that school blew ass except me.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to get straight A's. I didn't
Yeah.
play basketball. I decided to smoke freshman year and get kicked off the team.
Oh, shit.
That was I
I
can't
got
remember.
I got a C average, right?
Uh,
So he told me he was going to sell it the next day. So I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
okay, well, two can play this asshole game. So I hopped in it and drove it through a fucking cornfield.
oh shit.
You pulled a Jimmy Bones with it.
Oh yeah, but the guy whose land I went through buckshot it in the trunk.
Jesus.
So when I parked it in the driveway, and this thing was loud.
Mm-hmm.
So I parked in the driveway. I go inside. My uncle's like, I told you I was selling that in the morning. I was like, you can still sell it. Maybe not a full price, but you can still sell it.
Damn.
I'll never forget. He walked out the next morning. I mean, he still got, this is 2005. He still got 27 grand for it. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
supposed to get 35. But I'm pretty
That car's-
sure. Well, I'm pretty sure I pissed off enough people to give that car a warrant.
That car is worth more than that.
Yeah.
Well, if he'd have
Well,
held on to it till 2013, he would have gotten 72,000 for it.
Yep.
Yep.
And
See,
then- Go ahead.
there's a reason why when I watch car chase movies
Mhm.
and they start seeing having the vehicles crashing and getting smashed all to pieces, I don't feel a lick of sympathy for the humans occupying the vehicles.
Oh,
I feel
no.
sorry for those damn cars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Me too.
So the best place to get a car, I found out in California, you'll know this being on Irwin. So the California State Police have some of the best car auctions in America. So my buddy
I'd heard that.
my buddy and I went as a joke one time. We each brought $1,000 because I was like, cool, you know, we'll have fun at the gun range because I'll just throw a grenade in mine. So we're sitting there, and 2000. Oh god, I'm trying to think. It was either 2006 or 2009 because this was 2010. It was a Dodge Viper, not a scratch on the car. All right, but it was evidence in a triple homicide.
Mm.
So the driver was taken to jail for 3 murders. 2 girls were killed in the back seats, and the passenger was killed in the front. Right? No big deal. Well, to me anyway.
Well,
I
it's
obviously
a
wasn't
haunted
one of them.
vehicle.
Yeah. So my buddy's looking at it and he goes, I bet this thing's going to go stupid just because it's a Viper. Opening bid was $500.
Oh.
So
Wow.
basically, long story short, for $800, my buddy got a brand new Dodge Viper with only 1,000 miles on it.
Holy fuck!
That is a steal and a half.
And
Well,
even
and the best part
replacing the
is-
interior wouldn't cost that much.
That
No.
car is
All he did was wipe it down. So we still
Mhm.
got blood out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, all right, so what are we gonna do now? And he had his eyes set on this this Ford that was in Alabama. It was a '79 F-250 diesel.
yeah.
That's a
I was
rare.
like-
Very,
That's
very
real rare.
Yep.
So he ended up selling the Viper for I think he got 78,000 out of it.
Damn.
Yep.
That is
sounds
a
about
hell of a
right.
flip.
Mhm.
Right.
Woo.
So now we make our journey all the way to Alabama to go pick up this truck. And the old guy didn't tell us much about the truck. He didn't tell us how it ran. It was $5,000 out the door. There was nothing wrong with the paint. Didn't even have a scratch on it. Right. So we're driving back, and I was like, "Why are you the luckiest son of a bitch I know?" So we make it all the way back to California. And he finally takes it in for its first tune-up. Right.
Yeah.
That's when we found out it had no oil from when we left Alabama all the way to California.
Jesus.
The spark plugs are the originals from '79.
Oh shit.
The transmission fluid was empty.
Mm.
But here's the best part. They filled it up with all the fluids and it broke down.
Oh.
We drained everything out and it ran perfect again. So it went from, we used to just call it the zombie because it could run on E. But
Fuck.
yeah, nothing ever went wrong until we started replacing fluids. And that's when we found out like it had a hairline crack on the bottom of the engine blocks where the engine was leaking. Oil was leaking out of.
God.
So we literally just packed it with they don't make it anymore. You guys remember liquid steel?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember that very
So-
fondly.
So we put it on a scraper, and all I did was fill the crack, and we filled everything back up, and it ran amazing. But God, I think he still has the damn thing. I know it's still running. But yeah, we ran it for well over 3,000 miles with nothing.
Jesus.
Damn.
Yeah, you asked about liquid steel. All of this is allegedly, of course.
Right.
There is no proof of any of this, of course.
What'd you do
And
to the
I will not-
helicopter?
No, it wasn't a
Oh.
helicopter.
Sorry.
This was a light colonel's Humvee
Mhm.
at a post I will not name. All I will say is there is a reason why you don't have pissed off mechanics and pissed off chem guys interact for more than 30 seconds together.
Mm.
Because we will come up with something that you will not like.
You liquid sealed the radiator, didn't you?
No. We
Oh.
didn't we didn't destroy the vehicle. We
I've done
liquid
that.
steeled the hardback hatch.
Oh,
Mhm.
nice.
We turned it into a coupe for the light colonel by doing that to the back doors. And just for giggles, we liquid steeled something onto the underside of the. If you've ever been in a Humvee, you know that the axle is a free rotation on the outside of the vehicle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's about a 4-inch, or there's an area where there's a 4-inch gap between the axle and the bottom of the internal components. I
That's
can't
where we
remember the
kept
name.
Yeah, that's where we kept our dope in the motor pool.
Well, what was allegedly done was a noisemaker kazoo was liquid steeled onto the
Nice.
axle with a device. I don't know exactly what was done, but there was another thing liquid steeled underneath it, so the kazoo would hit it and it would make a ding 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 noise
Oh
for the next 3 months.
Jesus.
Even after they got all the doors unfornicated, they were trying to figure out just what the hell that noise was, and the mechanics were like, "Hey, we're not finding anything. It's probably an operator error."
So the only thing I ever did is we had a staff sergeant who absolutely hated mariachi music.
Oh God. Hang on. In his defense, who doesn't?
Fair
I
enough.
don't. Depending on it, is what it is. I don't
So-
mind too much.
So he hopped in his Humvee because we were doing field maneuvers, which is fine and dandy. So, but I got drunk and got on eBay like 2 weeks
Oh,
before
no.
this, and I was just being a smartass. I just typed in funny car horns, and then I
Yeah.
see it, and I went, oh.
No.
And I took it into the one of the guys was like, hey, how hard is this to install in the truck? And he goes, not hard. I'll walk you through it, but I ain't doing it.
Mhm.
I was
Well,
like,
yeah,
you know what?
he's got to keep plausible deniability.
I was like, fair enough, good buddy. So he hasn't honked his horn yet, so he gets out and fucking yells at all of us because we screwed up a maneuver by like I think it was 100 feet, which wasn't uncommon because a lot of us were just coming off from drinking that night.
Mhm.
So he's screaming at us from the Humvee, and then as he's driving away, he honks his horn. And all you heard throughout this field on 29 Palms is nah, 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 nah.
Yep. La cucaracha. Yep. La cucaracha. I knew it was La cucaracha.
And this dude, he gets out of the Humvee. He was probably about 100 yards away from us, stormed all the way to us running, and goes, I know one of you little faggots did this. I want to know who. And we all steel trapped because I was like, shit, at least 8 people know this showed up on my barracks doorstep. At least 8. And I'm looking around, and I was sitting there, I was like, Dressens is going to snitch me out. Mainly because I told him what I was doing. Dressens didn't say nothing, and we all ran 1.5 miles. So during this mile, he goes, you think this is funny? And he kept honking it.
Mhm.
I fell out from laughing so hard I puked.
Okay, gentlemen,
Oh,
are you at the end of your story, JMO?
Oh, yeah. I'm good.
Okay.
man.
Gentlemen, our good buddy Gendai is trying to take the crown from Billy Von Baum.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
The Army and Navy and the battles they have won. History will never have its colors. The colors that never run.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Oh,
Big
I
Trouble
like
in Little China.
Yep.
Was that the entire thing there, JMO?
Yeah, he hasn't
Gendai?
finished it yet.
I like it.
That's about as long as I think I want to put it, though.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have Jimmy say something.
Okay,
Well,
so there's
3
nothing else
seconds
there?
earlier, he says cheers, but I thought that was too long considering, the we're not worthy is only like 4 seconds.
Well, we're not worthy though.
I like it.
And they should have added in Alice Cooper for that one and put somebody's face on his.
All right, let me go ahead and play that again so everyone has a chance to see it.
Here's to the Army and Navy and the battles they have won. History will never have its colors. The colors that never run.
May the wings of liberty never lose a feather.
Okay, I saw Jimmy there. I saw Pop, obviously, and I saw Blake.
Blake.
Where was
Mhm.
Rhino?
Oh, he doesn't get into this one.
Well, there's only 3 people in that.
Okay,
team.
I just wanted to make sure. Good job.
Well,
Hell yeah.
Blake's going to have a really nice Christmas this year. That's all I got to say. So, I haven't watched Pop's channel in a long time. Rhino just kind of mentioned Blake to me kind of blatantly, because I have this Michael Myers comic, the Chromium edition,
Oh yeah.
that you can't find anymore, and it's worth right around $500. So I showed the picture to Rhino, and he was like, "Dude, like Blake would go crazy for that." And I was like, "Well, I don't know Blake, so either way, the price is $500." And I ended up giving it to Rhino for free just because I couldn't bear to charge him because I knew it was a gift.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's getting the second rarest Halloween comic you can ever own.
Why do I have a feeling that Blake is going to have a certain male physiological response going on there that
Oh,
he's
there'll-
not going to want to talk about?
There'll be a chubby.
So I mean, if you guys want to look it up, it was limited to only 2,500 copies, and I think before I had it encased and graded, and I did that just out of boredom. I think that was number 34 out of 2,500.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
But
No,
no, I bet-
Rhino mentioned this in the after party last night late.
Wait, Rhino had a stream last night?
No, he was in my stream, or actually our stream, Outlaw's stream, and my stream, and I've also have a StreamYard. Mine's a big StreamYard.
Yeah, see, since I do this as a hobby more than anything else, so I'm not dropping anything more than I have to resource-wise into it. Hence why we're on Poverty Yard.
Yeah. No, I did that just because I wanted it, and I did it, and I have extra cash.
Yeah, right now my extra cash is being earmarked for other things. So,
But no, it was just I ended up giving it up for free. I mean, kind of sucked at the holidays. I really could have used the money, but I can't. I've known Rhino so long I couldn't bear to charge him because I know he was gonna buy it to send to the other guy.
Yeah. Well, we're going to
So, you
guilt
know-
him now. We're going to guilt him now.
Yeah, we're definitely
yeah,
gonna do
maybe
do
a
that.
little bit.
No, this is called favor time. We're going to start calling him in for you, Jammo.
So,
Hell yeah.
but on top of that, I actually brought Rhino some comics. So Rhino bought the because you guys know he's a big Spawnophile. He
Oh,
loves
yeah.
Spawn.
Spawn and Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yep.
So I went to his place, and I brought some comics, and I brought him like Gunslinger Spawn #1.
Hey, one quick question, guys. I've seen bits and pieces of the movie, but in Spawn, doesn't he basically have this transformation type gimmick from his normal human form into Spawn?
No, so when Spawn, so when he died, he obviously he went to hell for what he did in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So he makes a deal with the devil. He will remain burnt up and flesh ridden. And he made this deal strictly just to look after his wife, who his best friend ends up banging. Right? But Spawn, I think, now has, let's see, there's King Spawn, there's Gunslinger, there's Clown Spawn, there's I think there's
Oh, no,
like
'cause-
8 or 9 different variations of Spawn now.
Because what I was thinking was if there's some kind of transformation, either Gendai or Billy doing Rhino turning into Spawn.
Yeah. But
Because I thought Spawn had something kind of like Venom, where when Eddie Brock goes from normal human mode to, oh my gosh, I'm an alien symbiote that wants to eat people's faces mode.
it's funny. I have a Venom
A
#1.
little bit like that, but not really.
Yeah, not
It was-
quite.
It was
it's-
early
it's-
90s, and the computer graphics weren't really there yet.
Yeah.
Oh, darn,
But-
that would be an absolutely hilarious one to give to Rhino for
Oh, yeah.
uses on his thank you for donations thing.
Right. So so I ended up going to Rhino's, and because Rhino told me he had just purchased the Spawn and Batman versions because they did a comic book together, and I was like, you know what's funny? I actually have the comic book, and mine's a rare one because it was before they did the number printed one, so I have a not numbered version of it. So I ended up giving that to him. He's got Gunslinger Spawn #1. He's got Spawn #1 and Spawn #2.
Damn.
And yeah.
Okay.
So I mean,
I'm working on one for Rhino. It's a scene out of Grumpy Old Men 2 where the grandpa goes after that old lady that owns the restaurant.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I loved those interactions.
Come on, I want to lay you.
Yeah.
He's
So-
taking
okay.
the old beaver to
Didn't
tuna
she-
town.
Didn't she hit him with a spoon a couple of times?
No, she hits Jack Lemmon with the spoon.
Oh, okay. I
No,
know she
Tom
hit
Cat-
somebody with a spoon.
But
But
that's
no.
a whole new meaning to the phrase getting spooned.
Uh-huh.
Right.
The whole Tomcat
But
on the
but no,
prowl.
and this isn't a sales plug, but if you guys are looking for specific comics, chances are I might fucking have it.
Ooh,
So
nice.
Well,
like
here's
all the go ahead.
here's a weird comic question for you, and it's not anything sales related.
All right, go ahead.
We know Spawn is his own comic or comic company essentially.
Yeah.
He's not with DC or Marvel. The nearest Marvel equivalent I know of to the character Spawn is the Ghost Rider.
Or Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
I said equivalent, not insult.
Deadpool could kill Spawn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, with boredom from talking too much.
Well,
actually, there's a cool comic. There's 2 comic books you need to find. Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, and Deadpool kills the DC universe. And the way he does it is so methodical. Like, imagine being Superman, right? Man of Steel, the only thing that can kill you is kryptonite. And then Deadpool comes up in front of you during a fight with a kryptonite dipped katana and shoves it right through your heart.
Mm.
Okay, well, here's the question. Here's the question I was gonna, or the first part of the question I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Who's the DC equivalent to Spawn?
Ooh.
Is there a DC equivalent to Spawn?
I don't think there is.
Mm-mm.
As
Okay,
far
so-
as Hellborn, it all comes down to Deadpool and Spawn. As far as Hellborn,
It's a good question.
So that's gonna make this next part a lot easier then. Who would win between the Hellspawn characters from comics? When we're talking
Deadpool.
about, I said Hellspawn characters. Deadpool is
Oh.
actually a mutant, if I remember right.
He
Mhm.
is.
Because if I'm not mistaken, the only truly quote unquote Hellspawn characters in most modern comics are Ghost Rider
Mhm.
and Spawn.
Spawn would win.
So he's that
Who's
just that much
better than-
more of a powerful
No.
combatant.
It all comes down to weaponry. So, like, the chains you see Spawn use, the ones that are all spiked, those are actually blessed by the devil to have the power of hell.
Okay.
So, like, even if he was to take out his sword and cut off Ghost Rider's head, I mean, Ghost Rider, in a sense, can never die when he's transformed from being a human, technically.
Yeah.
But all Spawn has to do is decapitate him and take his head.
That's fair. So Spawn essentially doesn't have a legitimate weakness in combat.
You can
No.
run the energy.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting, actually. Yeah.
And he can
I-
transform to make himself bigger and stronger.
I know exactly jack and shit when it comes to Spawn, so
Well, who's your comic book guy? Like, if you had a comic book guy.
Power,
truth be told, and this is gonna be mocked mercilessly, I get it, I accept it. The only
Okay.
comics I really actively followed were Moon Knight, Batman,
That's not bad. Batman's not bad.
the G.I. Joe comics,
Those are the shit. Keep going.
and the pre-IDW Transformers comics.
Okay, I mean, those aren't bad. Like, I kind of just, I just immersed in everything. So, like when Carnage first came out, you know, like, I was big into Carnage because he was the same thing as Venom, just a hell of a lot more evil.
See, and to a certain extent, I would follow Spider-Man and some of the other Marvel characters, but more or less with them, it was just the ones who had their little cartoon series. That's how I got introduced to them.
Right.
Mhm.
Like,
So
I
the
mean,
the '90s X-Men, the '90s Spider-Man. I know them more from the cartoons than I do anything else.
So,
Mhm.
like,
Well,
I
the
have-
90s cartoon focused way too much on Wolverine.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, just like the G.I. Joe comics from the late '80s and early '90s, or not comics but cartoon,
Mhm.
focused way too much on that idiot Duke. God, I hated that
Mhm.
character.
Yeah,
I loved-
Duke was
I
stupid.
loved Heavy
Like,
Duty.
Say that
Like-
again.
I loved Heavy Duty more than anybody else.
Okay, you want to know who my jam for G.I. Joe was, both in the comics and the cartoon? Flint.
yeah,
That
Okay.
character to me was the epitome of cool,
yeah.
and that's before he ever broke out the shotgun.
Now,
What-
here's a philosophical question for you. What
Uh-oh.
do you identify more with the villains of these stories or the heroes?
Well, that all depends. It all depends on where you're at with the spectrum. Like, in my opinion,
Yeah,
Marvel had the better heroes. DC had the far better villains.
yeah, yeah.
And when it came to the independent comic books like IDW and Dark Horse,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it would depend more on the story that they were telling.
Yeah.
Because
Be-
the Predator comics that ran for a short time,
I have them.
that in my opinion, there was no hero or villain in those particular comics.
There
yeah.
wasn't.
But it
Well,
had a damn good story.
Well,
Well,
GMO, and this is why I say this, because me, Mando, Jackal, Tommy, and the rest of them, we've already had this talk behind stage. But to me, the villains of these stories are more relatable on a
oh yeah.
humanistic sense. You know, people like Superman, I can't relate to him. I actually can't stand him.
Yeah,
Well,
an alien
he's a
dropped on planet
god.
Earth to be raised by two farmers is kind of
Yeah.
far fetched.
Well, and he's
Yeah,
So,
a
like,
god in his powers.
yeah, but so is Thor.
yeah, he's just the
Yeah.
fan base of a lot of these characters is what really turns me off to the superheroes.
Yeah,
May I ask you, gentlemen, a question?
fire
Yeah.
away.
Where do you put Punisher? I call him hero.
I
would
call him an
say-
anti-hero.
Yeah, me too. I would say that too. Yeah.
Well, here's the reason why I call him a hero. Okay, and just kind of put yourself in this mindset, if you would. You
Mhm.
just come home to find out, your daughter's been whatevered by some guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Punisher
Mhm.
goes and kills that guy.
Hmm.
To me, that's a hero because he's doing what you emotionally can't do.
And don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with you.
Mhm.
The reason I classify Punisher as an anti-hero is because of the fact that he does do what needs to be done.
But he does it in overkill fashion.
Exactly.
Gotcha. That's fair. Fair points, all.
Well,
And-
here's go ahead, Mando.
Well, and here's an interesting bit of trivia that you may or may not know, JMO.
Mm-hmm.
The original G.I. Joe comics was actually written to incorporate a character who's well known in the Marvel comic universe.
Mhm.
Do you know who that was?
I think they were supposed to have the Hulk in there.
Nope. Although they would have ended up working with the Hulk, given what eventually developed.
So, I mean, if you go by popularity, it's got to either be Hulk, Spider-Man, Wolverine.
We're not going by popularity. This was back in
Okay.
the 1950s when this first was being really floated hot and heavy, and it was supposed to have happened in the 70s initially.
In the
But
50s.
But the company that made G.I. Joe decided to break away from Marvel.
Mhm.
Well, JMO, this is why I say this. To me, now this is just personal opinion. The only thing really relatable about these heroes is the need to do right, to make things right, right?
Right.
Like saving the day, innocent people. But when you look at a lot of these villains, they're more relatable on a humanistic level because you actually see the human side of them, when they start to go bad, and you can see it out here in the culture with a lot of people on
Mhm.
similar grounds, like Mr. Freeze, for instance, trying to seek revenge for his
Dead wife.
fallen wife. Yeah. To me, that's more relatable. And, while you can't really necessarily agree with the evil that they do in response, it's more of like how their pain and torture starts. It's like more of a humanistic, more of a realistic origin than just somebody being born on Kryptonian. And you get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
That's the thing. DC is based on gods. X-Men and the Marvel universe is based on normal people getting something extraordinary happen to them, and then they get
Mhm.
powers.
Well, and
They're
that's
telling
honest.
two completely different stories.
And that's
Yeah.
honestly in my opinion, one of the big weaknesses on both of them.
Mm-hmm.
There is no real middle ground on either Marvel or DC. In Marvel, everything has a scientific basis. Even Doctor Strange has a scientific basis behind what he is capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Strange is supposed to be magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In DC, it's either some kind of extraterrestrial, some kind of actual deity deciding to pop in and say, "Hey, I'm going to stick around for a few decades and see how things go,"
Mm-hmm.
or it's some random dude who somehow stumbles on these weird mystical abilities.
Right.
There's
I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
and in Marvel, granted, I like the idea of science being a baseline for certain things because I like being able to wrap my head around why people are able to do what they're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to have everybody be some kind of lab experiment gone completely, totally wrong.
Well, that's why the X gene was created, so they could just say, "Oh, it happened."
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
Many
Here-
Chlorians, huh?
well, here's what I'm getting at when I say that. In Marvel, yeah, there's aliens.
Yeah.
Technically, Thor is more alien than God.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually said that straight up in the comics.
Yeah.
Now, where it gets kind of wonky with Thor is they tried to base it heavily on Norse mythology and
Mhm.
tell their own stories using that as a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they did it shit poorly.
Yeah, they did.
Well, some of the stories, yes, some of the stories, no. Have you read the Ragnarok cycle or have you read Ragnarok in the Marvel version of it?
No.
Yes.
That actually was a very well done reinterpretation of that particular myth
Mm.
Hmm.
because it ended with Thor and Loki essentially breaking the cycle.
Mm-hmm. See, now I'm gonna stray away from this, but go ahead and finish, Mando.
Oh, no, go ahead, because I really didn't have a whole lot to add to that one,
Well,
unless somebody else did.
You guys are talking DC, you're talking Marvel. I haven't heard anybody mention Dark Horse.
Don't
haven't
Pay the
heard-
Ferryman's another good one.
I haven't heard anybody mention any of the newer indie shit that Razorfist
Oh.
has been putting out.
Indie,
Well,
the indie scene is huge right now.
Right.
And here it goes back even further. Jamo, you said you got all these comic books. What do you got for
Mhm.
heavy metal?
Oh God, I have Well, I mean,
I'm just curious. I'm not going to buy them. I'm curious.
no. I'm not. That wasn't a business proposal. Trust
Oh
me.
no, and I didn't think it was. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm curious what
I
you
don't want to
got.
make it sound like I'm putting a plug out there.
Oh no.
Like, hey, okay.
Well, but
no,
hey, that's how you trade back and forth to get what you want too. So I'm not
Right.
saying that's a bad thing.
And before you answer that, JMO, I'm just going to say straight up, I haven't actively followed comics for at least 7 years.
Mhm.
And the ones that I have looked at, trying to get back into some of my old favorites that have been rebooted, I've been utterly disgusted by what they've done to some of my favorite characters.
Mhm.
like who?
Like what they've done to Snake Eyes, for one.
Yeah, they fucked Snake Eyes. They fucked Deadshot, especially Deadshot. The problem is the more Hollywood gets into making movies, the more the comic book industry will replicate the movies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also before you get to that, the answer to the question that I asked earlier,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Nick Fury was going to be the original commander of G.I. Joe.
Oh, I know.
Hmm.
And he would have
I-
done it better.
Shield was, or what eventually became Shield, was the Marvel Comics G.I. Joe.
So I have a buddy, and you want to talk about GI Joe, right? Just because, well, everybody loves GI Joe, right? We can all say that.
It's really mixed. I've noticed.
Yeah.
He's got the original USS Flagship
Ooh.
with all the bells and whistles. The mics still work with all the characters.
Wow.
But what he's asking, because he offered to sell it to me, right? Oh, we'll do this quick. No way in fuck all would I ever pay that much, because it's a toy. And it's a big-ass 7-foot toy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, 7-foot toy.
Well, they basically made it a scale model of a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it's. I think it was like 248 pieces unassembled.
Now, would this in theory float on water?
No,
It
there's
does.
no way in hell it'll float.
Oh,
It does.
okay. Oh, it does.
It's got
does?
plastic buoyancy strips on the inside on the bottom.
Oh, fuck, that's
Really?
awesome.
Yeah.
Then
Oh, that's
that's
awesome.
different than the flags I've ever seen.
No, so his parents went out and found this thing. It was like only 400 of them were ever made,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't sell that good because of how much more expensive they were. Because you remember back in the day, it's like, hey, here's a remote control car, but it could do 15, so we want $800 more, kind of toy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, like my son would have hours of fun with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, I was like, all right, you know what? Just how much do you want for it? I was like, I got $500 on me. And he was like, no. So I was like, okay. So I look at my bank account. I was like, I can give you $1,200. And he goes, yo, well, we could start at 6,000 and go from there. I was like, what the fuck?
What?
I would have to see what the actual valuation of that thing is before I would even consider a negotiation
So
starting
the
at that
best
point.
place, if you guys ever get curious about toys and comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do eBay. eBay is the most honest review place you're gonna get because they sell millions upon millions of toys and comics every year.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So like, let's say somebody puts up, like, even I have it, a New Mutants 98, right? First appearance of Deadpool. Right. So like, let's say I put it up for $500. It's actually an easy deduction because you can look at that. All right. So this one's graded at an 8.5 for 500. This one's graded at an 8.5 for 350. And then you can find the common denominator of what's sold in the last 60 days. Right. And that's where you get your middle point. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm selling something for 500, it's because I need to get rid of it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's, and then you can just be like, well, dude, I'll give you 4. And I'll be like, you know what? Fucking deal. Knowing full damn well you could probably break me down to 325.
Hey, you know what the really messed up thing is with all of this? That's not just true when it comes to comics and toys. If you really ever want to get masochistic, look up how much your Magic the Gathering cards could go for
Oh,
on
God.
eBay.
Well,
So,
Especially the early shit.
well,
do you guys
Jammo,
play Magic?
I
I
used to.
do.
So, my brother used to do tournaments in the 90s playing Magic, right?
I
He ended
never
up-
did tournaments with Magic, but
Oh, he ended up going to nationals, took second. But
Wow.
in Kansas City, oh, dude, I still have his old elf deck. It's fucked. But anyway,
yeah,
He
that's
won-
definitely a pre-apocalypse if you're running elves.
oh yeah, because dark decks just destroy elf decks depending on enemy count. But he won a Black Lotus when he was
Ooh.
13
Nice.
and won another one when he was 15.
Wow.
Hi, Lake Shiza.
So,
those were some good money.
well, the one he's got,
Yeah.
because it was a year 1 print of the card, when we were kids, it was $1,000 card.
Which
Because
means
of its
today
rarity-
it's probably a down payment on a house.
Oh God, no! You could probably buy 4 or 5 houses with it. It could go for 1.2 million to the right collector.
Wow.
Yeah, they're that high.
All right, but who's gonna ask me something? Sorry, because we deviated when.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
my,
no,
my
no.
apologies there.
no,
I
it
was
wasn't
just
you. It
gonna
was me.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm in the Hot Wheels scene. You know, that's
Okay.
a whole. It's similar to what you guys are describing. I'm seeing scalpers in that industry or
Badly.
community badly.
God.
Like in our community, we have what's called treasure hunts, which is basically, if you get a rubberized car, like a tire with the wheels that are rubberized and then like a metal base, whatever,
Mhm.
Spectra Flame, we got the same thing in there, guys. Like the scalpers sees money in these cars, and anyway, you guys get what I'm saying. It's the same
Right.
there
Oh, it's
too.
Okay.
across
Well,
all of them.
who's
You get
wait?
people
Who just talked? I'm sorry, I wasn't.
It was me, Outlaw.
All right, Outlaws. So check this out, and they're free, okay?
Mhm.
Because I have no use for them. If I find my dad, you remember those old Matchbox car suitcase carriers?
Oh yeah.
My dad had 5 of them, and it was every single first car made by Matchbox.
Holy fuck.
Oof.
That's
I
back in
have,
the 50s.
yeah, I have no desire to price them. I have no desire to find people to fucking buy them. I also have no desire to bring them in my house and let my dogs or my kids piss on them or
So
fuck
you're
them up.
talking about the original I think it's Lesney Matchbox.
Yeah, the original Lesney
Uh,
Matchbox car collection. It was a 400 car run. I know I've got, as long as they're still in the storage unit and they weren't lost in a move, I know I have the first 250 cars ever made by Matchbox.
Yeah. So those would come in, and they're called Matchbox because they actually used to come in a little box, like a matchbox.
And it had a match striker on the back of the box.
Yep. Hot Wheels.
These ones are not encased. They're out of the case, but they're in that commemorative suitcase crap. You remember the one that had all the little slots? It looked like a tackle box, but it was plastic.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. So if I find them, I'll let you know if I find them. DM me your address or closest PO box or delivery spot, and
Okay.
dude, they're yours.
I appreciate that, brother.
Don't quote me, but I have to find them. So
Hey, it's a Christmas or damn near a Christmas Eve stream, so I'd say that we just did a little bit of a miniature Christmas miracle for our favorite squirrel boy.
that's
Well,
if I find them. Don't call it a miracle because I don't want them hating me if I can't.
Oh no! It's okay, brother. No, well,
Just-
like Mando, I'm into the hobby stuff myself. I mean, I do the
Mhm.
train set stuff and everything, and I'm in the process now putting together a school bus. So
Nice.
this is a part of the community I would really love for us to dive into a lot deeper. The what people call the nerdy stuff, right?
Well, I mean, if people want to buy, sell, and trade on whatever that thing I had to sign up for to be a part of all this, starts with an R.
Mm-hmm.
You
Are
know
you
that
talking
thing
about
that
on the
we all
Gilded?
talk on? Yeah, there you go, Gilded. R. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I guess that
Yeah,
R
I
stands
was about
for.
to say, there's no
Like-
R in Gilded.
Well,
There is if you can imagine it.
it's crazy.
Okay.
You look
You
around.
fucking bully.
It's actually crazy
Are
what
you
we all
drunk,
share in
Ian?
common. I mean, you look around, like Hammerhand's into comic books. I think Terrence Pop's into cartoons, right? Space Ghost, I think.
Right.
We know
Space
he
Ghost
loves
is
Space
the
Ghost.
shit. Oh, I love Space Ghost.
Dude, Space Ghost Coast to Coast is my jam, man.
You know what the sad thing is? I've never seen a single episode of that.
Get on
Oh,
Netflix right now. You got to do it.
That shit
Yeah,
is so
I'm not paying a
awesome.
tithe to the same company that thinks Barack Obama knows how to make a movie.
Fair point.
Cliff gave me a website to look up the anime and stuff on, and Space Ghost Coast to Coast was on there. Can't remember what it was called though.
Well, you had
And
Space Ghost
I'm
Coast to
sure I
Coast.
could hunt it down on Tubi or something similar.
Oh, you could. But no, if there's a place where we can go to, like, for people who like comics, I love comics. I'll buy comics. Most
Mhm.
of what I have is shit that, when I was, I can't think of the right word for it for YouTube. When I was hopped up, is that the best word to use?
Yeah, we can go with that.
Okay. But, dude, that was when I was buying a $10 comic and turning around and spending $5,000 to go to the con to get it signed.
Yeah.
Hey, JMO,
Oh, there we go.
here's what
Yo,
I've been working on the entire time we've been chit-chatting.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it is.
Need to get that bitch to focus though. There you go. That's a
Well-
little better when you brought it up.
That looks
When you bring it
badass.
up, it focuses.
That is badass. I could
Oh, yeah,
never
nice.
paint. I could never paint. I'm not that steady. You give me a strong
On it-
some powder, I'm the
this is-
best guy you ever
This
knew.
is honestly my anger management.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an outlet, comic
see,
books.
This is
Go ahead.
essentially what it started out as.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
awesome.
It's a
Right.
lot to it, man.
So, speaking of dicks, when we were all in the military, well,
Well, I don't want to hang out in the shower anymore. All right.
then you couldn't hang
Oh,
out
wow.
with me because that's all where I was, buddy.
Well,
Oh,
Tommy,
What?
give it.
What are you rocking, Johnson?
Wow.
Hey, I got
Tommy.
I got a Clytosaurus. Don't worry about it.
Tommy,
But-
given your history with the Navy, we can all understand and accept that.
Right. But I've had, when I was in the military, and like an idiot, I brought him to my barracks room, right? Because I was
Mhm.
we all bought tickets to the San Diego Comic Con, and I had at least, I think at the time I had over 17,000 comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this con, because anytime you sign up for a con or get a ticket, you're going to know who's going to be there because they're going to list out all the exclusive guests.
Oh yeah.
And when Rob Liefeld was there, I had a Deadpool Nerdy 30 #1.
Hmm.
And it was
Oh,
the
nice.
Blacklight foil edition. So I looked at my buddy and I was like, dude, this is getting signed. I had no clue that just 2 days later, that buddy would be discharged. And he would also raid my room.
Oh,
While I was on
no.
duty, He
Oh,
packed
no.
them all into his fucking car and darted with them. So
Son
the
of a
only
bitch.
comic book that I was actually able to recover from that, only because I found it at a comic book store and the guy was being a complete dick because I even showed him the police report. And I'm not shitting you. I listed it took 9.5 hours for this cop to write down every comic I had. And when
God
I
damn.
showed it to him, I was like, dude, these are mine. Like, it even says my last name on the boxes. And he was
Oh.
like, well, I mean, you could buy them back. It's not going to be cheap. And I was like, and I could take you out back and whoop your ass, but I'm trying to be civil about this.
Yeah.
I
Your
just
your
would've called
buddy
the
would
police.
automatically be on a BOS list.
Oh, well, the funniest part is, so me and my buddy he's here in Colorado Springs, right?
Mhm.
He's got a restraining order on me, a protection order on me. So, and he told the cops the reason. And when the cop showed up at my wife's house, was like, hey, listen, I got to serve you this. He apparently just moved back. And he was like, what he did to you was fucked, but a protection order is a protection order. And I was like, you're just doing your job, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but I have a follow-up question. And he's like, what's that? What if I wear a ski mask and then beat the fuck out of him? And he kind of looked at me and goes, as long as I don't see you with the ski mask. And I went, touche. I was like, got his address? Because the restraining order is going to tell me where he's at anyway. What
Yep.
neighborhood I can't go into.
It has to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
And he gave it to me. And to this day, I can't do it because he's got 3 kids. And
Yeah.
I can't fathom beating the crap out of somebody who's someone's hero right in front of them. Well, I mean, I
Well-
could.
Even if they're as dirty as that one is. Yeah.
Well, that's why you give him a waiver until the kids are out of high school or college.
There's a lot of pieces of shit out here in this world, man. My dad had a
The jug's low.
1950
Go get Kool-Aid, Bubba.
My
You
dad
want me
had
to
a
go do it
19
then?
Ask mommy.
My dad had a
Daddy's on the phone.
1955 F100 that back in the day, you used to be able to trade work for like some carpet or small odds and ends jobs or something like that. What
Yeah,
we
sure.
used to do. And so he traded this guy a 55 F100 for I think it was some carpet work or something. Well, that dude beat him out of the truck and never did the carpet job. And this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. There wasn't no rust anywhere on that truck. It was it had a Dixie horn in it, had one of those old school
Wow.
metal windshield visors on it, side pipes. The thing was badass. I think it was a 302 somebody put in it.
Right. But you know, that
And
also goes on to the decline of fucking the moral fabric of anybody in this country.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can completely concur with that.
You know what'll fix that?
A
A lot of
shotgun?
ass beating.
Oh, well, that too.
oh yeah, this dude, he was like, "Oh, I promise you, I'll pay you the rest that I owe you." Because the truck was worth more than the job he was wanting to trade out. So anything anyway. So, dude, there's some crooked ass folks in this world, man.
Oh yeah. And like, I had a Marine skip out after I loaned him 15 grand.
Mm,
You know, I like, believe it or not, most of the time, I give stuff away. Just because A, it's a nice person, and two, if I don't have a use for it, I don't need it.
yeah.
Like, my
Okay,
wife bought me an Apple Watch. My foreman now owns it. I had a
Mm.
40-inch TV we never used. A buddy of mine now owns it because his kid broke his.
okay, guys, we have been going for an hour and 55 minutes. I usually call these shows after about 2 hours.
Hmm.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up. And if normally I would say final thoughts, but we're not doing a topic tonight. So let's do a final Christmas wishes for everybody on the off chance that I don't do a stream tomorrow on the topic I was considering for tonight. So, JMO, you want to go ahead and give yours first?
Uh, Try to have a good Christmas, everybody.
Hmm.
Short and to the point. Any kind of final salutation to anybody, or is that it?
Have a good Christmas. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Um, I'm broke, so my PayPal is. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, let's not do that. All right, I'm gonna
No.
drop you to the backstage. Okay, Tommy, you're up.
Oh, I'm going to enjoy my Christmas because I'll be by myself in my house with my beer. And I'm brewing a new batch tomorrow.
Hey,
Unfortunately, it's going to take 10 weeks to fucking process. God damn it.
hey, anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. But yeah,
So-
everybody be safe. And I agree. Don't drink and drive. Don't drink and swim. All that good shit. And that's it for me.
Okay, dropping you back. Jackal, your final holiday salutations, final thoughts equivalent, whatever you'd like to say to end out.
Don't be a fuckstick and ruin it for everybody else just because you're not having a good time. Do your best to try to enjoy this time of year and don't give in to the corporatized idea of what Christmas is about and just go out and spend a bunch of money. Just have a good day at least and try to mend relationships with family or friends. At least attempt it if they're worth it, or if there is a chance. If there isn't a chance, then just don't bother, because, well, some people can't be reasoned with. But other than that, just try to reassemble some broken parts of life. And for anybody that does believe, try to reconnect with God a little bit, because at the end of the day, sometimes he's the only one who actually has the map out of the shit show known as life. You just gotta ask, and he'll at least give you a hint. That's it.
Amen to that, Jackal. Pulling you off. Okay, Outlaw.
Yeah. Have a happy, safe, Merry Christmas, and God bless you all and your families. Hope you get what you been wanting for Christmas. As fucked up as this world is, always know, gentlemen, that somebody somewhere is having it a lot rougher than you are. Always be fortunate. Count your blessings. You could always be in a far worse situation than you are right now. If you got a roof over your head, if you got something to eat in there, if you got at least one family member to share it with this year, do it. Do it. And with that, I will bow out. Appreciate you having us,
Alrighty.
man.
All right, Gendai, you get the next last word.
Well, when it comes to Christmas, everybody should count their blessings. If you have access to basic public present, if you go to bed not hungry, have water, a place to sleep, and basic public transportation, you're in the top 15% of the planet. So be happy with what you got.
Okay, I can't argue with that. Well, my own Christmas wishes to you all. Have a safe, merry, and, well, happy Christmas. If you're able to spend time with family, I hope you're able to do so and enjoy it. If you are unable to spend time with family, I hope you're able to at least reconnect with friends. As everyone else has said already, be safe and try not to do anything too crazy over the next few days. I know that we're in the period of the year where a lot of things go bad for people and they just decide it's over. Don't join that don't join that statistic. I'm not going to do the full-on pop safety brief because one, I'm not that good, and two, he does, or he's got a lot more practice covering all those bases. Y'all just be safe. If you do choose to do certain activities, make sure you're using the proper protective equipment. And for heaven's sake, people, remember, yeah, it's bad, but it's not that bad. I'll see you guys next time I do a stream, and maybe it'll be tomorrow. I don't know. Until then, Sukui Gar, or correction, Rachosha me.